From the bizarre to the just plain stupid, it's the Ryan Hartson Show on BWC Internet Radio. I'm Ryan Hartson. No partner today, just me here by myself with all of you, all 6 or 7 of you that will get this. As today we're going to break down 3 huge topics in the world of sports. With the AFC Championship game being played last night, we'll get to that right now. Coming up a little later, we'll have the NFC Championship game to break down. And, of course, the very unique story coming out of the NFC Championship game. This whole Jay Cutler injury, weird kind of thing that's going on with him and all his injury situation. It turns out it's a sprained MCL, and this brings up a whole other set of questions that we'll get into in a few segments. I want to start with the AFC Championship game. It's Steelers, Jets. It's in Pittsburgh. Cold as hell last night. Jets are, coming off this very emotional win against New England. And I think on this network in particular, we did not stress enough how key this very emotional Patriots win was for the Jets. And the fact that they had all this emotion beating their arch rival at their place, would they be able to kind of replicate that in Pittsburgh? And in the first half, the answer was absolutely not. They spot Pittsburgh 24 points to start the first half. It was crazy. The Steelers run for 130-something yards in the first half. Ben Roethlisberger's throwing the ball over the place. I believe he did have a rushing touchdown there to make it 17-0, and then suddenly a sack strip fumble of Mark Sanchez is picked up, goes back the other way for a touchdown. So all of a sudden it's 24-0. Jets are able to go back down the other way. They get 3. It's 24-3 at halftime. The Steelers have this huge advantage, all the momentum, and the Jets just looked like they were simply out of gas. It was very confusing considering the kind of, fire that they usually bring. They show up every week. We've said this. The Jets are like this team that shows up absolutely every week ready to go. And they were not ready to go in this game. They were just kind of flat, not a lot of emotion, making a lot of stupid mistakes. Mark Sanchez had a rough first half, ends up throwing for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns, which, if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, correct me, comment below, 233 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I believe that's a high for him in the postseason. I'm trying to think back to all the games he's played. I can't remember him ever throwing for over 200 yards in a playoff game before. He might have last week. All I've got is the Steelers-Jets box score in front of me. I can't really look at it. I'm not going to go back now. I've got too many other things to look at on the box score. But really, Sanchez, this was the best I've ever seen him play. In the second, obviously in the first half he was god-awful, but the entire Jets team was god-awful. But then in the second half they come back. Mark Sanchez was phenomenal. They were chucking it all over the place. The top receiver was Dustin Keller, 8 grabs for 64 yards. In the second half, the Jets completely outplayed the Steelers offensively and defensively. It was key. They go down. They get the big touchdown to start the third quarter. Suddenly it's 24-10. And then they go back down the field again in the fourth quarter, but they're stuffed. Right there, Steelers make a huge goal line stand, 4th and short inside the 1. And then the Steelers get the ball back. However, there's Ben Roethlisberger. There's a little miscommunication on the snap. Ben Roethlisberger falls on it in the end zone. It's a safety. Jets get the ball back, go right back down the field for a huge, was it a Jericho Cotchery touchdown? Yes, it was a Jericho Cotchery 4-yard touchdown pass to make the score 24-19 at that point. Steelers get the ball back with, 3.5 minutes-ish? Yeah, 3:06 to go. Looking here at the box score, courtesy ESPN.com. Unbelievable job, with the Jets getting down, and then the Steelers get the ball back, 3:06 to go, as I mentioned, and Roethlisberger does what he does, and on a 3rd and 6 plays, kind of running around, takes the snap, rolls to his right, and he's kind of going backwards and to his right at the same time. And I'm watching the game, and I'm saying, this is classic Ben. This can only end good. Because when he's running around like an idiot, kind of looking like he's not sure what he's doing, he knows exactly what he's doing because he's Ben Roethlisberger, and he's unbelievable. Obviously, he rolls out to his right, makes the pass. Last pass was complete to, I don't know who. I can't find that on this crazy box score. Blah, blah, blah. I will take a guess. Was it? No, I won't. Anyway, so the Steelers get the first down. That's the important thing. Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. Jets can't make the stop on that huge 3rd and 6 that I just went through. And Steelers take the win. They'll go to Dallas. I'm sure they are favored in the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers. So you look back at the Steelers season overall. Unbelievable. Just an unbelievable year when you consider Ben Roethlisberger with this whole rape thing. He's suspended for 6 games. It's reduced to 4. And the Steelers go 3-1 in that stretch just purely on their defense. Troy Polamalu just making all kinds of plays. The defense is just unbelievable in that first 4-game stretch. That one loss was to Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. And, Ben Roethlisberger gets a 3-1 team. And you're telling me that team's not going to go places? Come on now. And, of course, they do. They go 12-4 overall, get the 2nd seed in the AFC. They have a pretty tough time with Baltimore in the divisional round, but they get the big win over their division rival. A ton of rematches in the playoffs this year in both conferences. And then Pittsburgh gets the Jets and has this great game. And you consider Ben Roethlisberger, all the crap that he's kind of been through, it's just absolutely remarkable where he's come from. I'm not going to compare it to Michael Vick, but it's very similar. You're in a very dark, dark place, and it seems like he came out of it a better person. I'm more inclined to think that he's still an asshole underneath all of it, and it's, because Michael Vick, I think he really has kind of recuperated and that he genuinely is a good person. I haven't seen that from Ben, really. So then Roethlisberger, obviously, everybody hates him for all this rape stuff, and he just goes through all this controversy, and he takes his team to 12-4. He does an unbelievable job. Apparently, off the field, apparently he's a better person. I don't know. With Vic, it was easy to tell. It was much more public. Roethlisberger's been much more private about his redemption story. So, you take that for what it is. And now he's got his team in a 3rd Super Bowl before he's 30 years old. Last guy to do that, I believe his name was Tom Brady. And he's pretty good. So he's in great company right now. He wins this Super Bowl. You throw him in there with Brady. You throw him in there, obviously, with his Super Bowl winning Pittsburgh Steeler counterpart in Terry Bradshaw. And he's really on the inside track for the Hall of Fame. And I'm not being tongue-in-cheek about that at all. I think Roethlisberger's a great player. His statistics are terrible all the time. I said this twice. I said it on JMFPSP, and I said it on this show. He is the only guy that can be awful, completely awful, for three quarters and most of the 4th quarter, and then when you need the play, he makes the play. And he was awful the entire game, but at the same time, he was the best player on the field. 10 out of 19 for 133, 2 picks. He did have the rushing touchdown. QB rating was 35.5. Dreadful. But those 10 completions were arguably the 10 biggest plays in the game. I mean, every play he makes matters. He doesn't have empty stats where he's just making a lot of completions in garbage time. Every play he makes matters, and that is why he's an elite quarterback, is because his plays, even though there might not be many of them, really change the game. And that's why he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. If I have to rank quarterbacks, which I will here, I've got a second. Manning, Brady, Breeze, in whatever order you want. I really don't care. Preferably, I'd take Brady, Manning, Breeze at this point. And then Roethlisberger, Rodgers. He's better than Aaron. He's not as good as, obviously, the 3 immortals at this point. I'm going to put Breeze in that category. I think he's that good with Brady and Manning. So you got the 2 immortals, and then you got Breeze, who's just as good. And then you got Roethlisberger, who will never have the stats, but he might end up with 5 rings. He might end up with 5 rings with that great defense, with that unbelievable young head coach. with the great running game, which will always be great. The Pittsburgh Steelers will always have a great running game. And now they've got a great opportunity to win the Super Bowl against a team who won the NFC Championship game, who we will talk about next. We'll talk about the Packers and their huge win against the Bears, and then later, of course, we'll get into the Jay Cutler controversy as we keep going here. It's the Ryan Hartson Show on BWC Internet Radio.